Sir Francis Drake was born in Tavistock, Devon, England. Although his birth is not formally recorded, it is known that he was born while the Six Articles were in force. This puts his year of birth as 1544. He was the eldest of 12 sons of a Protestant farmer and his wife. During the Prayer Book Rebellion in 1549, the Drake family fled from Devonshire into Kent. There his father obtained an appointment to minister to the men of the King's Navy. Drake's father apprenticed Francis to his neighbor, the master of a ship used for coastal trading with France. The shipmaster was so satisfied with young Drake's conduct that, being unmarried and childless at his death, he bequeathed the ship to Drake. At age 23, Drake made his first voyage to the Americas. Francis Drake married Mary Newman in 1569. He then made 2 voyages to the West Indies, in 1570 and 1571, of which little is known. In 1572, he embarked on his first major independent enterprise. He planned an attack on the Isthmus of Panama, known to the English as the Spanish Main. Drake left Plymouth on the 24th of May, 1572, with a crew of 73 men and 2 small vessels, the Pasha and the Swan, to capture Nombre de Dios. His first raid was late in July 1572. Drake and his men captured the town and its treasure. When his men noticed that Drake was bleeding profusely from a wound, they insisted on withdrawing to save his life and left the treasure. Drake stayed in the area for almost a year, raiding Spanish ships and attempting to capture a treasure shipment. In 1573, he joined a French buccaneer in an attack on a richly laden mule train. Drake and his party found that they had captured around 20 tons of silver and gold. They buried much of the treasure, as it was too much for them to carry. This account may be the source material of all the stories of pirates and buried treasure. Regardless, the small band of adventurers dragged as much gold and silver as they could carry back across some 18 miles of jungle-covered mountains to where they had left the raiding boats. When they got to the coast, the boats were gone. Drake and his men, downhearted, exhausted, and hungry, had nowhere to go, and the Spanish were not far behind. At this point, Drake rallied his men, buried the treasure on the beach, and built a raft to sail with 2 volunteers 10 miles along the coast to where they had left the flagship. In 1577, Elizabeth I of England sent Drake to start an expedition against the Spanish along the Pacific coast of the Americas. He set out from Plymouth on the 15th of November 1577, but bad weather threatened him and his fleet. They were forced to take refuge in Cornwall, from where they returned to Plymouth for repairs. After this major setback, he set sail again on the 13th of December aboard Pelican with 4 other ships and 164 men. He soon added a 6th ship, a Portuguese merchant ship that had been captured off the coast of Africa near Cape Verde Islands. The ship was formerly known as the Santa Maria. Drake's fleet suffered great attrition. He scuttled both Christopher and the Swan due to a loss of men on the Atlantic crossing. He made landfall at the gloomy bay of San Julian in what is now Argentina. They discovered that the Mary had rotted timbers, so they burnt the ship. Drake decided to remain the winter there. The 3 remaining ships of his convoy departed for the Magellan Strait at the southern tip of South America. A few weeks later, Drake made it to the Pacific, but violent storms destroyed one of the 3 ships, the Marigold. After this passage, his ship, the Pelican, was pushed south and discovered the island which Drake called Elizabeth Island. He pushed onwards in his lone flagship, now renamed the Golden Hind. The Golden Hind sailed north along the Pacific coast of South America, attacking Spanish ports and pillaging towns. Some Spanish ships were captured, and Drake used their more accurate charts. Before reaching the coast of Peru, Drake visited Machu Island, where he was seriously injured. Later, he sacked a port in Chile where he captured a ship full of Chilean wine. Near Lima, Drake captured a Spanish ship laden with 25,000 pesos of Peruvian gold, amounting in value to 37 ducats of Spanish money. Drake also discovered news of another ship, which was sailing west towards Manila. Drake gave chase and eventually captured the treasured ship, which proved his most profitable capture. Aboard the ship, Drake found 80 pounds of gold, a golden crucifix, jewels, 13 chests full of royals of plate, and 26 tons of silver. Drake was naturally pleased at his good luck in capturing the galleon, and he showed it by dining with the captured ship's officers and gentlemen passengers. He offloaded his captives a short time later and gave each one gifts appropriate to their rank, as well as a letter of safe conduct. Afterwards, Drake turned north, hoping to meet another Spanish ship coming south on its return from Manila to Acapulco. Although he failed to find this treasured ship, Drake sailed far north, landing on the coast of California on the 17th of June, 1579. He found a good port, landed, repaired, and restocked his vessels, then stayed for a time, keeping friendly relations with the coast Miwok natives. He claimed the land in the name of the Holy Trinity of the English crown, called the region Nova Albinion, which is Latin for New Britain. The precise location of the port was carefully guarded to keep it secret from the Spaniards, and several of Drake's maps may have been altered to this end. Drake left the Pacific coast, headed southwest to catch the winds that would carry his ship across the Pacific, and a few months later reached the Moluccas, a group of islands in the western Pacific, in eastern modern-day Indonesia. While there, Golden Hind became caught on a reef and was almost lost. He made multiple stops on his way toward the tip of Africa, eventually rounded the Cape of Good Hope, and reached Sierra Leone by the 22nd July, 1580. On the 26th of September 1580, the Golden Hind sailed into Plymouth with Drake and 59 remaining crew aboard, along with a rich cargo of spices and captured Spanish treasures. The Queen's half share of the cargo surpassed the rest of the Crown's income for that entire year. Drake was hailed as the first Englishman to circumnavigate the earth. The Queen declared that all written accounts of Drake's voyages were to become the Queen's secrets of the realm, and Drake and the other participants of his voyages, on the pain of death, sworn to their secrecy. She intended to keep Drake's activities away from the eyes of the rival Spain. The Queen gave Drake a jewel with her portrait, an unusual gift to bestow upon a commoner. A year later, in 1581, Drake's wife Mary Newman died. Later, Queen Elizabeth of England awarded Drake a knighthood aboard the Golden Hind in Deptford on the 4th of April, 1581. The dubbing being performed by a French diplomat. During the Victorian era, the story was promoted that Elizabeth I had done the knighting. In September, Drake became the mayor of Plymouth and was a member of Parliament. In 1585, Drake married Elizabeth Sydenham. War had already been declared by Philip II after the Treaty of Nonsuch, so the Queen ordered Sir Francis Drake to lead an expedition to attack the Spanish colonies. An expedition left Plymouth in September 1585 with Drake in command of 21 ships and 1,800 soldiers. He first attacked Vigo in Spain and held the place for 2 weeks, ransoming its supplies. He then plundered Santiago in the Cape Verde Islands, after which the fleet then sailed across the Atlantic, sacked the port of Santo Domingo, and captured the city of Cartagena de Indias in present-day Colombia. On the 6th of June 1586, he raided the Spanish port of St. Augustine in Spanish Florida. After the raids, he then went on to find Sir Walter Raleigh's settlement much further north in Roanoke, which he replenished his supply. He finally reached England on the 22nd of July, when he sailed into Portsmouth to a hero's welcome. In another preemptive strike, Drake sailed a fleet into Cadiz and also Corunna, two of Spain's main ports, and occupied the harbors. He destroyed 37 naval and merchant ships. The attack delayed the Spanish invasion by a year. Over the next month, Drake patrolled the Iberian coast between Lisbon and Cape St. Vincent, intercepting and destroying ships on the Spanish supply lines. Drake estimated that he captured around 1,600 to 1,700 tons of barrel staff, enough to make 25,000 to 30,000 barrels for containing provisions. Drake was vice admiral in command of the English fleet under Lord Howard of Effingham when it overcame the Spanish Armada that was attempting to invade England in 1588. As the English fleet pursued the Armada up the English Channel, in closing darkness, Drake broke off and captured the Spanish galleon Rosiero, along with Admiral Pedro de Valdez and his crew. The Spanish ship was known to be carrying substantial funds to pay the Spanish army in the Low Country. On the night of the 29th July, along with Lord Howard, Drake organized fire ships, causing majority of the Spanish captains to break formation and sail out of Calais into open sea. The next day, Drake was present at the Battle of Gravelines. In 1589, Drake and Sir John Norreys were given 3 tasks. They were ordered to first seek out and destroy the remaining ships. Second, they were to support the rebels in Lisbon, Portugal, against King Philip II. And third, they were to take Azores if possible. Drake and Norreys destroyed a few ships in the harbor of Canogne in Spain, but lost more than 20 ships. This delayed Drake, and he was forced to forego hunting the rest of the surviving ships and head on to Lisbon. In 1595, he failed to conquer the port of Las Palmas, and following the disastrous campaign against Spanish America, where he suffered a number of defeats, he unsuccessfully attacked San Juan de Puerto Rico Drake's seafaring career ended when he died of dysentery in January of 1596 after his unsuccessful attacking of San Juan, Puerto Rico. He was buried at sea in a lead coffin near Portobello.